It was the humid summer of 1972, in the sleepy town of Monroe, Connecticut, when a young nursing student named Donna Hargrove got a gift that would tear asunder her quiet life. It was a Raggedy Ann doll, its red yarn hair styled in pigtails, its blue eyes sewn with a spooky, knowing glint. Donna's mother discovered it at a flea market, crammed between tatty bric-a-brac and sepia-toned photos, peddled by an elderly lady with quivering fingers and a mysterious grin. "She's special," the woman had whispered, handing the doll into her arms. "She's been waiting." Donna, pragmatic and down-to-earth, gave the remark little thought. She was 24 with her studies in mind, sharing a small apartment with her roommate, Angie, an arty, free-spirited student with a fascination for the occult. The doll found a home on Donna's bed, propped up against the pillows, an endearing reminder in their cluttered, bohemian home. First, it was just a decoration, a curious but endearing remnant of childhood. But then it began to move. The first incident was subtle. Donna came home late from the hospital and found Annabelle, the name she had privately given the doll, sitting on the living room couch instead of in her bedroom. She frowned and assumed Angie had moved it as a prank. "Very funny," she yelled. But Angie swore she hadn't even touched it. They brushed it off, attributing it to exhaustion or forgetfulness. The movements became bolder days later. Annabelle was in the kitchen, sitting on a chair with her cloth hands on the table, as if she'd been waiting for breakfast. Then one night, during a rainstorm, Donna found her standing in the hallway, staring at the front door, head cocked as if listening to the storm. Angie, intrigued, not frightened, proposed they give it a go. They marked on the floor with chalk the doll's position and left the apartment. When they walked back, the chalk outline was empty, and Annabelle smugly perched on the windowsill, raindrops beating the glass behind her. The eeriness seeped into their lives like a shadow elongating at dusk. Donna started waking to whispers, soft, indistinct murmurs that appeared to come from the doll's direction. She would sit up, heart racing, looking at Annabelle's sewn-on smile, now less innocent and more mocking. Angel, ever the mystic, brought home a Ouija board, eager to learn the doll's secret. "Maybe it's a spirit," she said, her eyes twinkling with curiosity. "Maybe it wants to talk." The seance was a mistake. Bathed in candlelight, the planchette began to move on its own volition, spelling out a name, Annabelle. When they asked who she was, the board quivered, and the air thickened and pressed against their lungs. The candles flared, then guttered down. Amid the sudden darkness, a child's laughter rang out, not from the doll, but from the walls themselves. Donna gripped Angie's arm, her voice trembling. "We need to stop." But stopping wasn't enough. The doll's presence became malevolent. Scratches sprouted across Donna's arms, 3 jagged lines, as if made by claws, searing as if touched by flame. Things disappeared, then reappeared in impossible places. A necklace in a locked drawer, a textbook hanging off the ceiling fan. One night, Angie woke to see Annabelle standing at the foot of her bed, her cloth hands smeared with something dark and wet. The next morning, blood was smeared on the bathroom mirror, writing, "Help me." Their last hope was Father Daniel Reese, a young priest known for dealing with the mysterious. It was a foggy October night when he came to their apartment, his cassock damp with mist, a leather-bound Bible in his hand. The air was thick inside with something rarely seen. Annabelle perched on the couch, tilting her head as if to size him up. Father Reese splashed holy water and offered prayers, his voice steady but strained. The doll itself didn't move, but the room did. Furniture rattled, windows slammed closed, and a guttural growl rumbled beneath the floorboards. "It's not just a doll," he cautioned them afterward, his face white. Something's attached to it, a force older than you can imagine. It's using Annabelle as a host. He begged them to give him a shot at it, to take it, to put it away where no one could get hurt. Reluctantly, they agreed. The drive to the church had been a nightmare. The car later veered suddenly, according to a description Father Reese would later give, the steering wheel jerking in his hands as though operated by an unseen force. Static blared from the radio, punctured by a child's voice chanting, "Mine, mine, mine." Annabelle buckled into the back seat, like a passenger, and her eyes sparkled in the rearview mirror. When he got to the rectory, his hands shook so much he could hardly grip his rosary. He enlisted the aid of Ed and Lorraine Warren, a husband and wife duo of paranormal investigators known for their run-ins with the uncanny. They met up in Monroe on a chilly November day, their faces grim but determined. Clairvoyant Lorraine shrank back as she neared the doll. "It isn't a child's spirit," she whispered to Ed. "It's something not human, something that is pretending." Ed nodded, his jaw tight. They put Annabelle into a glass case, locked with prayers and blessed salt, and brought her to their occult museum in their home. But that wasn't the end of the story. Visitors to the museum late at night would hear taps on the glass, as if Annabelle were testing her prison. A boy who taunted her, challenging her to do something, crashed his motorcycle while returning home, slamming into a barrier and dying at once. She never sat still for long, the Warrens said. Her arms would shift, her head would turn, but only when no one was looking. Years later, Lorraine confided to a friend that she could feel Annabelle watching her, waiting for a chink in the defenses to slip free. Back in Monroe, Donna and Angie attempted to get on with their lives, but the apartment never felt as it once did. The walls still echoed with the sound of that giggle, low and insistent. Donna burned the chalk marks and sold the Ouija board, yet the dreams wouldn't leave her. Annabelle looming over her, that stitched mouth unfurling into a gaping maw, whispering secrets no human being should hear. What was Annabelle? A demon cloaked in innocence? A lost soul twisted by rage? Or something much older, something that flourished on fear and the unknown, waiting out the times in a world that would not believe? Nobody knew. Not the priest, not the Warrens, not even Donna, who kept her story to herself until the day she died. In the Warrens Museum, Annabelle sits quiet, at least for the time being, her blue eyes peering out toward the horizon, her smile a riddle nestled in cloth. And somewhere, in the silence between breaths, a child's giggle longs to be heard again.